Is becoming a pilot in 2021 a quote-unquote safe career path? That's what we're discussing in this video, coming up. Guys, before we even get started in the video, I just want to come on here and apologize that my autofocus went on strike when I was filming this video, so the whole thing is actually blurry. This is really just a podcast. I wouldn't recommend actually watching it because the footage is all blurry, but if you do choose to stick around and listen to what I have to say about job security in the aviation industry, then I would greatly appreciate it, and if not, I completely understand, and we will see you in next week's video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you do decide to continue, enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. If you are a first-time viewer of my channel, then my name is Luke, and I'm a 16-year-old student pilot. On this channel, you can find videos of me documenting my journey from student to professional pilot and sharing both my good and bad aviation experiences. As mentioned previously in this video, we are discussing if going down the career path of becoming a pilot is a quote-unquote safe career and how job security really works in the aviation industry. Now, I'm going to share my opinion, and this is only my opinion, based off of what kind of job in the aviation industry you're looking into, and of course specifically a pilot. There's a million different jobs in the industry. You could be a controller or a ramp agent, but we are talking about pilots in this video. We're going to talk about the job security of airline pilots, cargo pilots, corporate pilots, charter pilots, fractional pilots, medevac pilots, you name it, we will cover it in this video, so stay tuned and listen for what you are mostly interested in. First, let's talk about the airline industry. Now, as you probably already know, the airlines is completely based off seniority, and seniority is everything. Your seniority number will decide what base you get, what airplane you get, if you get to keep your job, and that's what we're focusing on in this video. A perfect example of this is the COVID pandemic. If you are higher up on the seniority list and your company decides that it doesn't need as many pilots as it has, then they are going to start at the bottom and work their way up until they have reached the amount of pilots furloughed or laid off that they need to. In the airline industry, you need to pay your dues, so to speak. This basically means that everybody starts out as a junior pilot and you need to work your way up, and that only takes time. There's no way around that. You can't do anything to speed that up. That's simply how people retire, how you move up in the seniority list. It is based strictly off of your time at that company. So if that doesn't sound too appealing to you, then the airlines might not be for you. Now onto corporate aviation. And corporate is really such a vague term, right? So many people have different views of what corporate aviation really is. Now, to break that down, there's Part 91, and if you're unfamiliar, that basically means a company or an individual owns an airplane or airplanes and hires pilots or has a flight department, if it's a company, to fly that airplane. For example, Under Armour, they may have a couple airplanes. They have a flight department, and that flight department operates their airplanes to fly their business executives, CEO around, what have you. Now, that is very different from other parts of what people would call corporate aviation, like Part 135, which is charter. Now, when we say charter, we're talking about a company like Wheels Up, who anybody can call and book a private jet flight on one of their airplanes from point A to point B. When you fly for a Part 135 operation, you're basically flying for an airline who flies corporate aircraft. You're going to have scheduling, you're going to get your hotels booked most of the time. The company is going to do most of the work for you. You still have that corporate aspect though, which is planning your flights, planning where you're going to get fuel, planning your route, getting your route. This is all stuff that's different from the airline industry, where they just are given the stuff and they basically just have to go do what the company tells them to do. Now, when we talk about fractional ownership, and that's a company like NetJets, that's basically when people can buy into a program or into a jet and they own part of an airplane, and then they have access to that fleet of aircraft in that company. Again, these companies like NetJets often is a corporate airline, I like to say, because you're going to have some of the perks of the airline industry while having some of the perks, you may say, or negatives of the corporate industry. So job security in the corporate world. Well, a lot of people will tell you that corporate is dangerous because if a company goes down, then the first thing they sell is their jet. And that could be true in some cases. But oftentimes, if you find a good Part 91 flight department that's a well-established company like Nike or Under Armour, like I already said in this video, well, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And I know the companies I listed are extremely competitive jobs, and you often need to know people. Well, actually in corporate aviation, knowing people is everything, but that's besides my point. What I'm saying is if you go to a company that has been around for a long time and it is doing well, I would not be too concerned about that company going downhill. Now, in my personal opinion, I think the charter world is one of the safest aviation jobs there is. There's always going to be a need for people who have money to travel. Right now, in COVID, the airline pilots aren't flying a ton. The charter pilots are flying more than ever because all these people who can afford to fly private are flying private because it's the safest way to travel right now. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying that it's just if you got a charter job, then you're automatically set and there's no chance that you get furloughed or lose your job. That's not true at all, because charter companies go bankrupt or can be having money issues just like any other company. So that's definitely something to be aware of as well. Now onto the cargo world. And when we talk about cargo, it's another job that I would say is pretty safe, because in the cargo world, packages will always have the need to be delivered. So there's always going to be packages being sent out. So they're always going to need those pilots to send out those packages. And you can automate the factories and take care of those workers, but it's going to be a long time before the airplanes and all the airplanes go autonomous. So that's not something that I would be concerned about. And I think the cargo industry is great if you're into heavy airplanes and long hauls and late nights, then that's definitely something I would look into. Now, like the cargo world, being a medevac pilot is pretty similar in the way that pilots will always be needed to transport patients from hospital to hospital. Unless, again, we get fully autonomous flight, then pilots will still be there, and no matter what the circumstances are in the world, whether there's a pandemic or not, there's still going to be those patients, and those patients still have to get to their treatment. So medevac pilots, I think, is a really, really safe route to go. The only thing with that is people may not want to be there for a whole career, or maybe you do, and that's up to you to decide. I am just talking about the job security. Now, I know I shared my opinions on the different parts of aviation and the different job security that there is within each part. And of course, that is my opinion. So if you have a differing opinion, feel free to drop a kind comment down below, because I know I'll get some people saying that I dissed this part of the industry or that part. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just sharing my opinion and presenting that to you. I know that's another short video from me this week, and I apologize. I'm kind of in between stages yet again. So I have some great projects in the making that take longer because the production value is higher, and some bigger projects that I'm organizing and that I cannot wait to put on this channel in the coming months and years. With that being said, I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you want to support me and what I am doing here, consider clicking that subscribe button and dropping a like on this video. With that being said, I want you to stay current, proficient, and keep the blue side up. Fly safe, everybody. We will see you in the next video.